Welcome to Two Guys, One Sofa.
Luke dies!
Two Guys, One Sofa.
Just a warning, spoilers for this podcast. Spoilers.
Who's Luke?
You're looking at me in the most terrified manner.
Which one's Luke?
Luke is...
See the big hairy motherfucker with Han Solo?
He's the porg.
Oh, the porg.
The one on the dashboard.
Yeah. not the black guy from Empire Strikes Back, no?
No, he's just gone. What have I done?
Shall we start this again?
I think no. Yes. I'll tell you what I do. In post-edit, I'll just bleep it out. I'm like, beep, dies.
Oh, God.
Done. So, yes. Hello. Welcome to...
Episode 2 of Two Guys, One Sofa, the comeback. And probably last episode with
that, yeah.
With that in mind.
Yeah. It's always the last episode in our eyes. So, yes, straight into it. I might as well let's just get out of the way. Spoilers inbound.
Major spoilers on the way for Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Indeed. Because you can't really speak about this film without spoilers. And
No.
I know people will not have seen it before this gets put up on the web, which is unusual for us. We're kind of up with current events.
Yeah, for once we've sort of been a week of the release date.
Look at us go.
Yeah.
So that professionalism is now kind of counteracted with the fact that our usual setup as well. So I don't know how this is going to sound. It's sounding good when we've tested it,
Yeah.
but we've lost our PA desk and our fancy
we're talking
microphone.
into a fancy iPhone.
Yeah, it's just not even one of the newest iPhones. It's just an iPhone perched on a microphone stand.
It's the podcast equivalent of the spaghetti scene in Lady and the Tramp. That's what this is.
Oh, God. Good start.
Yeah.
Once again, we've excelled.
I mean, before we get into it, a quick thank you, obviously, to everyone who listened to the Return podcast, the Justice League one.
Well done.
Best part of 100 listens on part 1.
Which is kind of weird, because I wasn't expecting over 20.
No, we've had some good feedback to that in terms of the content, but I think, as is often Graeme's struggle in life, length.
Yeah. So we had to do the 2-part, and people dropped off.
Yeah,
in the second
we're
part.
about 100 or so for part 1.
So people
around
have said
35 for part 2.
Yeah.
So
people have said go for it, and if we switch off, we'll switch
podcast
off. Yeah.
for The Last Jedi.
Hooray! But thank you for listening, because we honestly did not expect it. I thought it would be the final nail in the coffin. Nobody will listen to it, and that would be it.
We're very, very grateful indeed. And before we get into the Last Jedi and the Star Wars world, it's just occurred to me now, we lost our 2016 review podcast, not in terms of films, but in terms of the year generally. And one of the big
that
things
was the
in that
same
was,
one as the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, one of the big things we talked about was celebrity deaths. And that, on the subject of that, Carrie Fisher. A quick tribute to Carrie Fisher. Much missed. I'll
also obviously speak about it more in this film
we'll get into
specifically,
or in the film, but just from a general point of view. I think I saw her in the Blues Brothers before I ever saw her in Star Wars. And I was very young at the time and couldn't comprehend that this was the same person. This crazy lady from Blues Brothers was also Princess Leia in fucking Star Wars.
And when you see her in real life, she was even more batshit insane.
My first ever probably sort of film star crush, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Alongside Laura Dern, who we'll also be talking about a little bit later in this podcast.
Miss Sattler. Dr.
Yes.
Ellie Sattler.
Even with her hand in a pile of Triceratops shit.
You envied that Triceratops shit.
I did. She could plunge her. No.
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 Oh, no, God, no. So
Anyway, Carrie Fisher, this one's for you.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
So,
You're right.
We've done The Force Awakens before on a previous podcast, both massive fans of that. To give a little bit of context, I saw my Last Jedi viewing as part of a double header. It was a midnight showing at the Odeon in Telford. Before that, they did a showing of The Force Awakens. Still stands up. I absolutely love that film. Got probably better, to be honest, if anything. On repeat viewings, you start to appreciate the intricacies more, some of the performances. Fantastic. But we did lose in for our sort of review, touch upon Rogue One, which was sort of the standalone middle ground film. Just refresh my memory, Graeme. Thumbs up, thumbs down for you, middle?
Mine was very much in the middle. Yeah. You know, if you were Caesar at the Gladiators thing, you know where they do the thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah. Mine firmly stayed like...
They've got to fight again, yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't as bad as some made out.
No,
but it wasn't as good
without
as
its merits.
yeah.
But it was pretty dull.
Yeah, it had massive shortcomings that ultimately stopped it from being something.
Yeah,
I think I've tried to watch it again once, and I couldn't get through it.
No,
which is kind of damning.
The characters lacked depth. It was just it was a story that didn't need telling, and it was the fan service was ramped up to the max.
Yeah, and that was it. It lost its own
cameo. Pissed me off.
Yeah, it just lost its own merits on the basis that then it tried too much, like you say, to pander to fans.
Yeah.
Like there's a way to pander to fans and make it so. Again, Force Awakens was perfect at those little callbacks, but it wasn't.
It was introducing the new world whilst reminding you, it's still the Star Wars that you know and love.
Yeah.
And here is the passing of the torch, slowly but surely, from these characters to the new characters.
Whereas Rogue One was very much, because it was set at the time of the originals, everything was just like, what can we now call back to, and then put front and centre as like a in your face.
Yeah, we got the AT-AT, so I think there was. We saw the two guys from Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
Everything you can think of shoved in there.
Which, like you say, when you first see it, you're like, oh, yay, it's that person or that thing. And then, like, after about an hour at the cinema, when you start to think about it, you just go, oh, yeah, didn't really... I shouldn't have clapped, maybe.
We talked about it on Thursday afternoon after we'd both seen The Last Jedi. We sort of wish, in hindsight, that they'd left these standalone films, just got this trilogy out of the way every couple of years, and then gone on to your other stuff. Mm-hmm. Because it feels a little bit like saturation point.
Yeah, it's going to get to the point where... Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's the Marvel films are... Like, I'm burnt out on the Marvel films, and at the moment, they keep on dragging me back in. Yeah. Because they're well-made films.
Well, there's sufficient quality. There's not an issue particularly with the quality of Marvel films, with a few exceptions, but there's so fucking many.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
And you've got to keep up with the crossover of characters, and if you've missed the end credits of Captain America 2, you're not going to understand 4-3.
Yeah.
And all this sort of shit.
So I've not seen 4, or I didn't see Spider-Man either. See, Marvel seemed to be this thing that I always wait for.
Well, yeah, I've only just seen
DVD.
Ant-Man, and that was a few years ago.
Yeah. Because like you say, but the problem is they do it well.
Yes, yeah.
Star Wars, like you said, it's already once a year, but when you think there's only been the 3 movies now.
Yeah.
And like you say, Force Awakens was fantastic for me. For a lot of people.
Solo film comes out in May. We've got
is that already coming out?
And there's another one, yeah.
See, that's where it could... so once you get to 4 or 5, and then if it starts to teeter, there's more average or mediocre...
Well, they've already announced a TV series, another trilogy, more standalone films.
It's almost like they're doubling down on this for money.
Disney?
I know. It's like the mouse doesn't have enough. But the mouse never has enough, and the sooner we accept that, the sooner we will bend our knee to our little big-eared overlord.
Yes. We loved your movie, Mickey.
We did. So, like you say, saturation being a thing, I mean, there was a lot riding on Last Jedi, not just in the sense of continuing this trilogy, but in the basis that if it wasn't like this surefire hit, even though it kind of would have been anyway, because of obviously the marketing, and people will want to see it regardless.
Yeah, it had that Batman-Superman factor, regardless of how good a film it was. Just going to do well.
Yeah. Like you say, Justice League didn't do too well.
Not so well.
But, like you say, at the end of the day, I still was one of the first days I went to watch it. Yeah. If not the opening day, I went to watch it because it's a Justice League film. Yeah. You're going to always do the same with Star Wars. It's a Star Wars film.
It's an event.
So you did the midnight showing at this one. I did the Force Awakens midnight showing last time. So it's always going to have that hype, and it's always going to be a success because of that. But sooner or later, like I say, if you put 2 mediocre films or even 2 bad films, heaven forbid, if Disney put out 2 bad Star Wars films back to back, then at some point, like I say, because it's so saturated, because it's so constant, it's going to start to wane, and it could drag the whole thing down.
They've got to be careful.
It's almost like the Titanic with the compartments filling with the iceberg. If you fill up too many with bad water or bad reviews. Bad water. So the water is an analogy for the water. The water's an analogy for bad reviews or bad reception, and sooner or later, it takes the whole thing down.
If you fill a boat up with any water, it's a bad thing. It's
just bad water. I'm trying to make an analogy.
Anyway,
I
so
tried to sound smart.
The Last Jedi, Graeme. What did you think?
I know this. It's a very decisive film from what I've seen so far.
I think divisive is the word you're looking for.
Divisive. What did I say?
Decisive.
Decisive. Well, it could be that as well. Why not? It's very decisive.
I mean, yeah,
In
it's
how it-
decisive.
yeah.
'Cause, I mean, Luke dies. So.
Yeah, exactly. Spoilers. Luke dies. But it is. It's everyone I've seen has either loved it, and these have been Star Wars fans like ourselves, like
Yes.
bigger Star Wars fans than us, or movie going fan. Critics was another one. After watching it, I then just then went back to all the articles that I've been trying to avoid for spoiler purposes or all this, just to see what everyone was. And it's very much split down the middle. It's a 50-50. People really like this film or really hate this film.
Well, yeah, we talk about Rogue One being sort of apathy, just a meh sort of film. There's none of that with this.
No, you're either in
right.
one camp or the other. This
Yeah.
is Trump and Hillary all over again, isn't
Yeah.
it? And I'm not fully in the pro. It was great camp, but I'm very much in the it was very good camp. I'm more the middle ground of the one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I came out of it. I really, really enjoyed it. And like Rogue One, like I spoke to you on the phone after watching it because I was stuck in the motorway traffic. So we talked about it then. And by that point, after a few hours after seeing it, yes, my brain then started to go, okay, what did I like? What didn't I like? Discussing it with other people, like you say, it brings it forward. But no, I'm still very firmly in the it was good camp, but there are things that I would change if, again, I was in charge. That's where I am.
Yeah, whereas I sort of went the other way. And as we discussed again, when we talked about it afterwards, I don't know if it's because this is a 154-minute film.
Yeah.
And I was seeing it at midnight off the back of another film showing. Whether that played into it at all or was a little bit of fatigue. But I think my problems with it are more fundamental. I don't necessarily think it was down to that. And it's certainly not a terrible film. We're not talking Justice League or something here. Just
prequels.
Yeah. Oh, God, we're not talking Phantom Menace here. This isn't going to be the end of this franchise by any stretch of the imagination. There is no Jar Jar Binks. There is no spinning. That's a neat trick. There is none of that here.
No.
But I think there were some fundamental flaws that just didn't work for me, and leaning towards the thumbs down.
Okay, so contrasting opinions.
Yeah.
But not as extreme
No.
at either end as what the internet
I think there will
would
be
have you
concessions
believe.
on either side.
Yeah.
We'll discuss a new treaty.
So
Here we are.
this is essentially that little car, the train car in the middle of France when everyone come together at the end of World War One.
Yeah.
And decided, fuck Germany.
That's a better analogy than your bad water.
Bad water Titanic, the whole thing goes down, it drags everything down with it, including the good Star Wars films, was what I was going with that.
Yeah, Last Jedi is moderate water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's lukewarm. It's water in the swimming pool that somebody's just pissed in recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that
there's
temperature.
a threat of piss, you're not sure.
Yeah, exactly. See, we can do this. We can be critics. Right, so let's start then.
Let's start with the good. What did you like
good.
about Star Wars: The Last Jedi? What worked for you?
I liked how for parts of it had an intimate feel.
Yes.
And that's what I wish they had doubled down on.
I agree with
think
that.
they had made it a very intimate film instead of then trying to broaden the scope with intimate moments. It would have been vastly different, as opposed to a little bit different. And again, I like this from that point of view. We all complained that if The Force Awakens led to just another, because that was a bit of a rehash of New Hope, a soft reboot, but with enough differences that it can stand on its own. You've got to be really cynical to hate that film on the basis that, it's just a New Hope all over again. It had to be what it was. And
although unlike New Hope, it didn't have the close ending.
Yeah.
Because I watched them again recently, and New Hope, it's my favourite Star Wars, I'll say that off the bat. Because you can just watch it and not feel, I have to watch the other one.
The second one, yeah.
Whereas Force Awakens did depend on this one to uphold the legacy. But
I say, because it knew a trilogy was coming. The original, it was just a standalone film.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, like I said, I enjoyed the character interactions a lot of the
Yes.
time. I thought, because everybody's kind of, the main characters are all paired off with each other to a degree. You've got Rey and Luke on the island.
Well, Rey and Luke and Rey and Kylo more indirectly, and that did work for me.
It was almost like a love triangle of some sort.
Yeah, and the Rey Kylo stuff was probably the highlight for me.
Yeah,
And the sort of ambiguity in their relationship and the blurring of the lines,
yeah.
both being tempted by the other.
And this is the thing, like I say, it wasn't Empire Strikes Back again. Because if this had been another play-by-play Star Wars,
then you're in
we
trouble.
need
Yeah.
the family twist in this, and we need this in this, because it was in Empire. People would have been complaining, but a lot of the complaints I've seen so far are people saying, "Oh, it doesn't feel like a Star Wars film," and I was just like, I don't want it to be a Star. I want this to be a good film under the banner of Star Wars, but it had enough for me that I just thought, no, this is new, this is fresh. This is not something that another film has done before.
It was a brave film. I will give it that.
So I like that about it. Like I said, I think Kylo Ren, Adam Driver,
He was great.
great in it.
Daisy
Ridley continues to be fantastic. Mark Hamill, we'll get to Luke stuff probably next, but I thought Mark Hamill's bits were...
I enjoyed Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill. I thought, again, going back to Carrie Fisher, I thought this was a really great send-off for Carrie Fisher, because in the last one, I thought she was wooden as hell.
Yes.
In this one, I really enjoyed her.
Yeah, although we call it a send-off, they didn't necessarily
Send her off
in the film.
Exactly. So, I mean, but she had a good performance. So I thought the acting throughout was great. I thought the little...
I enjoyed her, although the low point of the film was, and again we're talking spoilers here, the teaser of the death of Princess Leia.
Yeah.
When she levitated back into the ship.
Like
That was terrible.
Yeah, that was... Because, like you say, you all thought, like... It's in the trailers, like he looks like Kylo Ren's gonna blow up the bridge with Princess Leia on, or General Leia, or whatever.
Yeah, that was a good tease.
Yeah, and you thought, oh, they're not gonna do it, and then they kind of play on that in the film itself, because he kind of pulls his hand off the trigger, and you go,
and then someone else does it.
And then the two just random nomad fighters that were following his lead end up doing it anyway, and as soon as they fire him off, everybody went, oh, like they've retconned it or something after that, and you thought, this is it. And obviously when she gets sucked out, you're just like, oh God. But then when she kind of she shows the Force for the first time, her using it, which has always been this thing, like, oh, well, if she has the Force, why doesn't she become a Jedi? Or why doesn't she move coffee mugs with it? Or, all of this stuff.
Whatever the case may be.
And in this time, she uses it, but it looked very odd.
It looked
very
cheap.
CG.
Yeah, it looked too CG. It looked like a really low budget.
Yeah, because I mean,
Out of place.
I know there's say space is a void anyway, so I don't know how the physics of it would work, but it just looked like they had basically copied and pasted, just like, Carrie, hold out your arm. They took a photo and then they just imposed
Dragged
that
it.
photo and dragged it across the screen rather
It
than.
looked like Poochie flying back to his home planet. That's
But it was just very much like, oh, what's okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that was distracting.
Yeah. So then you have that. So, like I say, Carrie Fisher's then kind of in this coma, and again, you thought then, okay, so they've managed to retcon it.
Yeah, they can believe that.
Yeah,
But no,
she comes back. Laura Dern. People have been very negative about older Laura Dern, but I thought it was a nice. Like what they attempted to do, I liked. Like you say, this whole not everything's black and white. Not the hotshot pilot isn't always going to be the maverick or the right thing to do. Sometimes you got to play it close to your chest, and it was character building. Right, it was a character building film.
It was a character building
for the most part.
For Poe.
Yeah,
because I think that was one of the criticisms of Force Awakens, that he seemed like a cool new character, but he wasn't in it nearly enough.
Yeah, so they gave him an arc. They gave Kylo Ren and Rey an arc. They gave Luke an arc. They gave Princess Leia a bit of an arc, despite her being kind of off screen for a lot of it. The two that General Hux even got an arc, which I like.
I like him.
I really like that guy. Is it Donald Gleason or something?
Yes.
The Irish guy. Yeah. So I really like him. I love his little tantrums with or the little bits of power between him and Kylo Ren.
I love Andy Serkis as Snoke as well.
Yeah. But like I say, going on to the negatives, then the ones that I didn't like or was a shame. Finn and Rose, the newcomer, the Kelly Marie Tran.
I think that's her name. Yeah, Tran, something.
So those two. The problem with those two is, like I said, there's that much going on in this film. It's almost like they went, "Oh, we got these two characters. We need them to do something."
Yeah, they were a complete afterthought in this, which is a shame.
Yeah,
because Finn was my favourite part of The Force Awakens.
Yeah, he was great. He stole the show, didn't he? So yeah, positives. It was intimate in the regards of these characters, not sprawl. Like nobody really spoke to more than like two, or had scenes with more than two people in the film. It was all very enclosed, especially the Rey and Luke stuff. And then, like you say, with the outreach of Kylo via space Skype or Force Skype,
whatever it was,
which I like that.
Yeah, I'm fine. With
it's been hinted towards in previous films. Yeah. I enjoyed that. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I know a lot of people didn't like it because it obviously wasn't a beat-for-beat Star Wars film, but that's what I liked about it. I didn't want a beat-for-beat Star Wars. I wanted this to be different in some way. I didn't know how it was going to be different, or even if I would like it, but I got what I wanted from it anyway, and I think that's why I'm more in the I enjoyed it camp.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest problem, the downside of it was the length of the film. It was way too long, 151 minutes, when they could have trimmed quite a lot of fat out. Yeah, probably had a much more condensed.
They could have done a far more streamlined story, and that's what, like you say, when you're thinking about it on retrospect, you're just like, okay.
There was about 5 or 6 points where I thought this must be it, this must be the end, and then there was another scene and another scene.
Although just the whole middle act, it kind of got bogged down a little bit. But that, again, this is the problem with having such a big cast, and I think a lot of it came down to the Finn and Rose stuff.
Yeah,
they needed them to have their own.
Well, it had the
adventure.
Same problem for me that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 had, which we'll get onto in another podcast that we'll be doing further down the line, the 2017 review. In that, like you say, there were so many characters, and they were so desperate to give them all an arc and all a story, when really they could have benefited from just cutting that little bit out and really beefing up some of the other stories, giving them more time.
So
the whole subplot of the rebels trying to escape and the Laura Dern thing, the Poe thing.
Yeah,
I get what you mean about Poe having his arc and growing as a character, maturing as a character. There was this Han Solo parallels.
Yeah,
where you see him as this sort of roguish, hot-headed character. Without the moral ambiguity of Han, he was a bit of a bad guy at the start almost. But growing and maturing and becoming more of a responsible person. But the execution didn't work for me particularly. I thought the Laura Dern character, as much as I like her, as I discussed at the start, it just felt like manufactured tension. Like we haven't got anything for Poe to do outside of the ship, so we'll make up this character to give him someone to clash with.
I think if they had done, that was where I would have liked it. Like you say, I thought it would have been a really good way of doing it, was if they had kept it on the ship.
Yeah.
But then they went really kind of self-contained on that ship.
Yes.
They could have streamlined that a lot better. And yes, even though Laura Dern was this manufactured, like anarchist to Poe's way of doing things, or is portrayed as
she was just a character of convenience, and that was a shame because I think there was more.
But if you had, I think if you had kept it on the ship a bit more, rather than a bit more sprawling and stuff, and you could have kept Finn and Rose on the ship as well, and they could have had a decent team up. But as long as it had to be on that ship, it could have been a very kind of claustrophobic feel then to it, like everyone's. The tension you could have
getting on top of each other and getting antsy, but we don't spend enough time with the Laura Dern character
to know what it's about. I say if she was a bit more backstoried, like I think if you had taken out Laura Dern, but I mean if you were brave enough to have Carrie Fisher in her role, it's Princess Leia saying, no, we do this, and then he says, well, no, I don't think this is the right idea, because she's this big character.
Exactly. That would have been a better clash.
That would have been a better clash, and then it would have you would have had the audience split.
Yes,
because you would have had the people who were just like, no, Princess Leia knows best.
Yeah,
but then you would have had other people going, well, I can kind of is she past it kind of thing, and that for me would have been a better story. And then if you could have included Rose and Finn on that, and this like back and forth, this mutiny not mutiny kind of thing, this but I guess it's a Star Wars film, so you're gonna have to, I suppose.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him maybe a little bit braver.
So if they had gone, like I say, I was happy with the intimacy of the film, but if they had doubled down on that, I would have been ecstatic with it, because it would have been, I feel, a better film personally, because like you say, it would have created more tense conflicts, but you still could have had the character building. There would have been no need for fucking racehorse.
Well, yeah,
things.
I was about to get onto that. I mean, what's the Poe, Laura Dern, whatever, didn't quite work for me. I can at least see what they were doing there.
Yeah.
The whole scene on that casino
Pointless.
planet and the horses, that was just a straight up dislike.
Yeah.
It felt out of place. And I know you say, I don't want it to feel like Star Wars, but that didn't feel like anything. That just felt...
That felt like the fucking prequels is what that did.
Yeah, that felt like... It felt so bizarre and out of place. And the Rose character, having her emotional moment, freeing a horse, I don't know what the fuck the point of that was.
No. Like I said, I liked her character.
I think it was to just try and show her as a compassionate person.
But she had done that for the several other scenes anyway.
You'd established that already.
Yeah. So, like I said, that
whole smuggler character, whatever his name is, the
DJ.
That didn't work.
No,
for me either.
there's just nothing to him. Like I said, again, if you write that actor right, he can be a very good.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd done more again.
Yeah, but he was just kind of.
And that led into the whole thing with Finn having to confront Phasma, and that was his big arc, really, for that part. And that she was so poorly established in the first film and in this one.
I'm glad, like I said to you on the phone, I'm glad that they finally killed her off, because
it wasn't working.
That just
and
reeks.
I'm glad they've acknowledged that.
That just reeks of, we've pushed this character out into the media. She's done all the press junkets and all of these things, all the tours around the world. She's been in all the promo material. But at the end of the day, in 2 films, she's done fuck all.
It didn't work.
She's essentially Boba Fett.
And it became
of
almost
this trilogy.
Almost a sort of unavoidable plot hole at this point where Laura Dern, is a sacrificial act, flies the ship through the enemy spaceship as they're about to execute Finn. That looked cool.
Loved that. Cool how it went silent and just cut you out of it. You were just like, oh, and it was all visual.
Very cool visual.
Very cool.
Before we cut to that, it was Phasma and her goons holding at gunpoint Finn and Rose.
Yeah.
And we see they're laid out on the floor after this crash. They get up, and then we get a reintroductory shot of Phasma walking back in with her goons in full formation. How the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, where did she go?
That was distractingly stupid.
I was like, where did the rest of them go? Because there was like a couple of hundred people or stormtroopers around
you see
them.
A few dead stormtroopers. Somehow Finn and Rose survive.
Phasma's obviously been tossed.
Yeah, but then they all walk back
God knows how
formation
far.
as if they'd never been there in the first place. And it just felt really weird and jarring.
Yeah.
And that summed up that whole sequence for me. It just didn't work at all.
Yeah, and they, like you say, when he comes back up on the floating platform, they didn't really kind of have a shot that said this is a floating platform. He just kind of raised back up on the raising floor, and you were just like, and he did it. And you were just like, oh, it's a, what is that? That got me as well. Like, just normally there's like a shot that shows that this is why this person is raising back up, kind of thing, or whatever. I don't know if it was because it was how it was framed or what.
To replicate Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
Yeah, no, it had that, but that shot of Marty McFly is they give you that quick cutaway of the is it hoverboard or the boots?
It's a DeLorean, isn't it?
DeLorean, that's right. Yeah. So he's on the hood of the DeLorean, isn't he?
Yeah.
And so it's there. You can see what it is. It's got the sound to it. This generally had none of that. It was just Finn's rising up and behind her and out of focus, and you're just like,
oh, okay. How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in with Star Wars, you know that's a lift, I guess. But there was nothing that even said that's a lift. It was a hole in the floor.
Car called a DeLorean, and you can believe it.
Yeah.
Whereas there was nothing to show that there were floating platforms here.
Yeah,
it's just Star Wars. Of course, it's a floating platform.
I'll say it just happened to be raising at that time. There was no like establishing shot of or there was not even a noise of like a clunking or a
nothing to hint at.
Yeah.
And him kind of killing Phasma didn't feel like some big climactic, triumphant moment.
No, it just kind of happened.
Because he didn't actually kill her, she fell.
Yeah, like he battered her over the head and opened up the helmet.
Yeah.
And then she glared at him, and then she fell into a fireball or something.
Something like that.
Which I assume, like I say, we assume she's dead. Because it would make sense, because like you say, this character has done fuck all. And I think
she's
they've
very
kind
much
of
the Darth Maul of this trilogy.
Yeah, I think they've realised, both actress and writers at this point have gone, I'm doing nothing, you just cut me loose, like.
Exactly.
I could be doing other stuff. And I think they've all kind of agreed to it. It had that feel to it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they did that. I hope she doesn't come back as like some sort of plot device for Finn in the third one. And
No, I want him to be done with that now.
Yeah, move on, because that was his arc. His whole arc was learning to not run away from it. Like he kind of learnt it at the end of the last one when he stood up to Kylo Ren, but then obviously got slain.
They go back to it in this film because he's going to run away.
Yeah,
and it's never really explained why he's going to run away.
I think he was running to Rey because he had the little
he's looking for Rey, but it's not particularly explained that well.
No. So say that it had its problems, should we say?
I think it lacked Han Solo, not as an actual character, but he was such a charismatic presence in the first film. And as we said, Mark Hamill was great in this. I enjoyed him, but it was a very different sort of appearance to Han Solo. I mean, Han Solo still makes me laugh. Yeah, the little scenes he has with Finn, and Finn goes, we'll just use the Force. That's not how the Force works. All of that kind of thing.
A suaveness.
Yeah.
There was no suave in this film. Like, everyone, like you say, you can have your personality traits, but there was no smarmy...
Everyone felt a little jaded.
Yeah, I mean, the closest you could get to it was probably, like you say, Poe. Poe was like the character you could get. Like, he has the dialogue at the beginning when they're doing the bombing run of...
Yeah, when he directly disobeys Leia, but lives are lost.
And then he does the, like I say, he's on the back and forth on the channel, oh, can I speak to...
Oh yeah,
General
Hux, that was great. Yeah, that was a good scene.
I like that. But again, that's what other people have been saying that since I've been reading, they didn't like it because it seemed too far removed from Star Wars. That seemed like something from 2017.
That seemed like something from Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't dislike that particularly.
No, I people have said they didn't like the humor. I like the humor in this. Star Wars has always had humour in it, and at times it's always had slapstick humour in it.
Different types of humour. I mean, C-3PO was the comic relief sort of in the initial ones. I'm glad
R2-D2 was a bit more...
I'm glad he was minimalised in this one, C-3PO, because that was one thing I picked up in Force Awakens. He was fucking obnoxious.
Yeah.
The level of irritating in that. It lost the charm.
It lost the charm on second view.
Yeah.
So you've always had this air of comedy. I say it's always been different types of comedy, but it's always been well timed.
Yes.
And put in the right moments and in the right frame and the right
even
context.
Leia had a few little one-liners and things like that. Yeah. All of the characters.
And this one, people seem to think they've gone too far because it was a bit
the one
more...
when we were talking afterwards, Rey, just on the island where she's constantly clashing with the locals.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Just a continuous joke. It's a running joke.
Yeah.
It's just for this film. It's a simple joke. And like you say, I really liked it. Because, like I say, I don't care about the gravity of the situation. Sometimes you always need a bit of lightheartedness in the worst of situations. Like at the very end when all the AT-ATs are shooting at Luke and Kylo Ren's like, yo, fire everything on them. And then straight away, like, Hux behind him goes, fire everything. And he just gives him that, what? Look kind of thing.
Yeah, and then Hux just said, has he had enough now?
I think he's had enough. And then just the little brush of the shoulder that Luke does when all the smoke clears and he's still there. Just to aggravate. People are like, no, that's what you want from that, because Luke Skywalker was that character. He was the cocky farm boy at the end of the day, and he was never this wise grand master. He was never that. I mean, people have complained how Luke was written in this. I thought it was perfect, because Luke was never the wise one, like Obi-Wan. Yoda were the wise ones.
Yeah.
It was never in his character, and on top of that, he's always spectacularly failed at everything he's ever done. So if he's going to have wisdom, where's he got that from? All of a sudden, you're kind of pulling it out your ass just to say he's old and has a beard, so he's got to be wise. And
it's easy to forget he was beaten by the Emperor in that last fucking film.
Yeah, Darth Vader chopped his hand off.
Yeah,
Emperor would have toasted him if it wasn't for Darth Vader coming.
He wasn't getting anywhere with his Jedi training.
No, he quit.
Lift the X-wing.
Yeah, quit. As well, like left early to go save everyone against Yoda's.
He bumbled his way to saving Han Solo.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Han Solo coming in and saving the day on the first one, he wouldn't have blown up the Death Star.
No, and he would have died on the ice planet Hoth.
Yep, and finally, of course, he failed in his Jedi. He was going to set up his own Jedi Order,
and he fucked it up.
That backfired, and that goes into how he, like you say, because he hasn't had all this training, and like you say, he wasn't ever that character that was I'll sit down. He was always rushing in head first.
Yes.
And he
He's
didn't lose
headstrong.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's headstrong. And he didn't lose that, which is what I want. Just because you're old and have a beard doesn't mean you have to be wise
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And I really enjoyed that. People have slated it. It's not my Luke Skywalker, and, you know, all the sorted hashtags of idiots. But that is the perfect logical progression of that character.
Well, yeah, this is 30 years down the line. He's not going to be the same Luke Skywalker, exactly the same.
And he's been a
as he
hermit
was.
as well.
Yeah.
For lots of that
I
time.
don't want any of their characters to be exactly the same.
No. That's the point. What's the point in having the same character for 3 films?
Yeah.
Or 6 films in this case? You've got to have a logical progression. So I liked Luke in it. I thought still Luke being that kind of cocky, arrogant at times, shine through, which was good. Other times, because he was this old man Herbert, he just didn't give a toss because he just milked off some random alien
That
and then
was
just
weird.
drank milk, and then it just trickled down his beard, and he was just like, I don't give a fuck. He was like this drunk.
He was like fucking Logan in that film.
Yeah, it was just like it was just like the drunk. It was like, oh, Luke Skywalker's an old drunk now, kind of. It had that feel to it. It's just like, it's, you know, it's all down my beard, it's all down my throat. I'm a slob, but I don't care because I live on this island by myself with some mole people. Bollocks to it. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I ain't trying to impress any fucker. You know, I like that. So Luke overall, I really enjoyed in this film. I thought it worked.
But to get to the meat and bones of this,
Or the lack of.
he dies.
Disappears. Yeah, that was weird. That was the one thing that I mean, this film had genuine surprises for me throughout, which was nice because that's what I
Yeah, there were
wanted.
some surprises, for sure.
Other stuff you can call as you're
Yeah.
watching it, but some stuff genuinely like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Luke dying was one of those oh fuck moments.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. But I mean, what I would say, I thought it was well done, the
Yeah.
way they did it. But I think it was indicative of the whole thing of this film compared to Force Awakens. It lacked the emotional weight for me, compared to Han's death.
Yeah, I think that's why it felt. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You didn't come away going, oh my god, Luke. You just went,
Yeah. Oh, he's
fuck, they
dead.
killed off Luke.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a big, dramatic moment. Because the Han Solo death still gives you the chill when you watch that again.
Because it was more personal, I think, as well. You got to think of that. The Han Solo was a very personal. It was close quarters.
You had Chewie there.
very
watching.
violent as
Yeah,
well.
You had Finn and Rey on
And
the
his own
balcony.
son did
and
it,
leads
kind of
into
thing.
fucking War Chewie going
Oh,
mental.
I love War Chewie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
But
was a bit
even
more
the other
personal.
emotional moments, you know, Rey worrying after Finn and them worrying after each other in the first one. Everything just felt like it had that little bit more emotional depth to it.
Yeah.
The reunion of Han and Leia felt like a big emotional moment, which you didn't
swell
get
of music,
with Luke
yeah.
and Leia.
No, that was the way the ending seemed a little rushed. Looking back on it,
Well, I think we were 145 minutes in by the point they met, which didn't help.
No, and like you say, it was just one scene where he force projects himself.
Yeah, and the first
from the
line
other
she
side of the
says to
galaxy
him is, "Yeah, my hair's changed."
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't know what that was. That a callback to like Han Solo in the Force Awakens when he goes new hair and she goes same jacket.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's what I went to.
But that worked a lot better for me in the Force Awakens than it
because
did in
Han
this.
Solo's saying it would make sense. A brother and sister that have not seen anyone in ages and you failed it. You would just be like, Leia, I'm sorry. Like
Yeah,
that was the first thing you would have. You know, there was no remorse about Luke when he walked in.
Yeah, he just sort of went, "Leia, I'm sorry."
Right.
Yeah, I know. I really want to explain. No, it's fine.
It's fine. I'm just going to go over here now. Yeah, and then like winks at C-3PO with it.
Oh God, yeah. I'm ready for him to die. I think.
Well, he probably will. He's old now. That Anthony Daniels, I'd imagine. He can't be
He's
too
meant
far.
to be a bitter old coot as well, isn't he, Anthony Daniel?
I don't know. Is he?
From what I'm aware, apparently hates everyone and is like,
Ghost of future, Ghost of
Yeah.
Christmas future. There.
yeah.
So, like you say, that felt a bit weird. But like you say, the fact that he used all his strength basically to project himself
The concept was cool to
for a heroic kind of they get away while you keep
to
them
teach
occupied
Kylo Ren a lesson.
And then, like you say, he falls down. You're just like, oh, so the next, like when he fell down, you were just like, So I see he's so there's still that thing of Luke Skywalker's out there kind of thing. And then within seconds, like you say, he gets back up and all of a sudden he vanishes and the cloak falls down like the old ones, like when Yoda and Obi-Wan. And you were just like, oh fuck, what?
Is that how it works?
Yeah. So Luke is obviously now one with the Force. So I'd imagine, like you say, there's your Force ghost. There's no way Luke Skywalker is now not going to turn up probably in every single future set in this time
we're going
frame.
to get a lot of Luke.
Because nobody else hires Mark Hamill apart from Disney and Warner Brother.
Yeah.
They are the two. But for that, like you say, it's I didn't mind that. I was kind of like you say, it would have been nice if there was a bit more of an impact.
Yeah, a bit of a punch to it.
But like you say, Luke Skywalker was never my favourite character from Star Wars. So maybe if I was
maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't that excited to see him again.
Yeah. Like you say, the first scene with him, like as we were going along, like she hands him the lightsaber, and this is the big cliffhanger from the last one, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, what's going to happen when they finally talk?" And like when the scene was playing out, there was still that quite brief little pause at the beginning when no words are said, and he kind of holds the lightsaber in his hand, and I just turned to my mate Ben and said, "Wouldn't it be funny if he just half-assed chucks it over the side?" And then seconds later, he half-assed chucks it over the side, and I'm just like, that's fucking brilliant. That's like 2 years worth of everyone going, oh, what's going to happen? And then they're just like, fuck you, nerds.
Yeah, that was good.
So, like I say, there was I took lots of positives in the film. But
speaking of surprises, we didn't mention, there was the brief union of Rey and Kylo after he kills Snoke.
Yeah, that was one of the surprise moments that you went, holy fuck.
Yeah, that was a surprise because I didn't see him being killed off.
No.
And I'm not sure... It was a cool moment in the film, but I'm not sure if I liked it longer term. Thinking ahead to the next film, which we'll get into in a minute.
I think a lot of this... Like I say, a lot of this film does depend on what comes next.
Yeah, which is way up in the open.
Yeah. Which, again, is a positive. You generally have no idea where this is going to go now.
It's out... Yeah, all bets are off.
Yeah. But, like I say, that scene in the throne room...
Yeah.
When, he's like, you could see him maybe fidget, like using his fingers to force move the lightsaber, and you thought he was going to drag it.
And he said he's going to turn the lightsaber on you. I thought he's going to kill him.
Yeah.
I saw it coming then. If he'd have asked me at the start of that scene,
I thought he was going to just force it to his hand, and then there was going to be a big fight out thing, and Snoke was then going to escape, or they would escape. But like you say, for them just to off him and then cut him in half as well, that was the best bit. Like you say,
both a good and a bad
flops
thing
over.
It cut him in half.
Like, I was just like, sweet.
Yeah, but as much as I like the scene, it presented the same problem as The Force Awakens, where they kill off the big threat, the Starkiller base in that one, whereas it should have just been disabled. The other overriding threat throughout was Snoke, and now he's gone. So where do we go?
Well, that whole thing is just to make Kylo Ren the big baddie, I think.
But is that going to work?
It depends. Like I say, if they double down on his... Because he's, like you say, he has nobody above him now. For the first time, he hasn't got this master-apprentice thing going on. He is literally... Nobody's going to rein him in. So he could literally go over the fucking deep end, and he might not just... Like I say, it won't be a case of a typical Star Wars bad guy. This could generally be like something more Joker fucking like in the end, or something insane, something completely fucking different.
That's the issue. They've got one film now to make him as dark as they possibly can. If that's the route they're going to go, and it is going to be Rey versus Kylo, the final battle,
they need to double down on his evilness.
They've got work to do. Because at the moment, that's not a viable enough threat for me.
No, like I say, it again though. What's the next one going to be? Like I say, it could, if they make it again more personal. Then that would work because you've got the character conflicts. But if you have this broad scaping space battle every 40 minutes or whatever kind of vibe to it, it's, I don't think he'll work in that regard. But like I say, he's not going to be an emperor of threat kind of thing. He's not going to be this Palpatine controlling the Senate and manipulating things from behind the scene. He needs, like you say, he's going to have to go off the deep end, and I hope he does, because it would prove a far different concept.
I mean, I think he's got to kill off a big character.
Well, they've got Carrie Fisher's corpse, so I mean, they can just
dig her up.
Oh, she's sleeping in bed.
Yeah,
A bit skeleton-y, but, smells a bit funky.
Full on Grand Moff Tarkin and CGI Carrie Fisher.
Perhaps he can kill off Jar Jar and just become the ultimate hero. Like, we've
They
lost
flip
Carrie
it on
Fisher,
his
we need a
head,
tie to those original Star Wars. Fucking bring Jar Jar back.
I mean, do you think he kills Finn? Do you think he kills Poe?
I think one of them could snuff it.
You'd think Finn would make sense in terms of pushing Rey off the deep end at the other way.
That's the thing. Like you say, Finn's the anchor to Rey.
Yeah.
And kind of vice versa. That's how their little dynamic works. So it could be that, but in 2017, can you kill off the only black guy in the Star Wars universe?
Probably.
Yeah, if you're Disney, I guess. But can you just imagine the uproar? Can you just imagine the uproar? Like, I can't see Rey dying.
No.
On that basis, can you imagine they kill off the first ever female Jedi and everything?
So what do they do? What? I mean, I don't think Poe has the impact. He's a cool character, but I don't think Kylo killing Poe has any sort of. I mean, they've had a bit of an interaction in obviously the Force Awakens, the capture scene, but it was never personal. He was just a guy.
It'll be interesting. Like you say, it depends. Like, you don't know where the next one will go, which is.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good.
Because, like I say, even with this one, you knew it would be Luke and Rey for a large chunk. You knew there would be certain beats that it would hit. Going forward, you can only speculate what you would want to happen or what you think. You generally have no... once there's no concept, is there going to be a bit of a time jump, maybe?
Well, it could be.
A couple of years rather than the following days or months or whatever it was for this one on the back of Force Awakens.
But then I suppose you've got the explanation of, you've got to explain, well, why have they left each other alone for this long? That's the issue you have.
Well, they're all together, though, at the end of this one.
Well, 12 rebels are all together.
Well, you can say they've been rebuilding the rebellion for 3 years or something.
Maybe.
But it's not that big of a rebellion still, I don't know.
Yeah, it's about 20 people left.
Yeah, they all managed to fit on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing, like, she put out a distress call, and literally everybody turned their back on the resistance, that was interesting, because you're just like, people are fed up of this shit now, just give it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then they throw out that little spoiler in the teaser in the last scene about the kids picking up and believing in the rebellion.
Yeah.
That again was a little bit too prequels for my taste.
Yeah, I think that needed, like I say, when Leia's doing a talking to Rey and mentioning this, what they needed to do was have that overdubbed over the scene, so it kind of described, the kids are playing as Luke Skywalker, standing up to evil kind of thing, and he's the hero, and that's how Luke Skywalker lives on to the galaxy as this myth, as this legend.
His sacrifice wasn't in vain.
Yeah, this glimmer of hope for everyone, because at the end of the day, look what Luke Skywalker has done. He's blown up the Death Star. He's brought down the the Empire.
He redeemed Darth Vader.
He's redeemed Darth Vader. He's done. He's still this mythical kind of King Arthur almost of this universe. So that if they had Princess Leia saying all of this while they showed this scene in the background before it coming back to them on the ship and it speeding away for an ending, that would have worked far better than me than having this ending with Leia and all the resistance and everybody speeding away in the Falcon.
Yes.
And then cut randomly to this
scene.
Yeah, and then randomly cut to this kid holding a broomstick as a lightsaber and using the Force. Like, it shows him, he brings the broom over to him, doesn't he? He uses the Force to bring.
I don't want to go back to the idea that anyone can be a Jedi and it's just something that can be trained in an academy. Though
I like the idea. Like it's.
I know it's meant to be symbolic, but it just brought back callbacks to those little kids with the masks on and the lightsabers.
You got to think, like you say, is it a case of, when you're still thinking percentage-wise in a very numerical rhetoric sense, there's billions upon billions upon billions upon billions upon people in this Star Wars universe, and there was like 17 kids plucked from all over, so it's not that big of a thing. It's not everyone's included. It's just, perhaps, like you say, certain people can react to it. It's almost like a skin condition. Certain people get eczema in salt water, and a lot of people don't. It's kind of that. Some people are just in tune with the Force, because that's kind of what they do with this. They kind of almost like rub out the midichlorian thing from the the prequels.
Oh yeah, I think the prequels are.
They made
out
it
of the
far
window.
more mythical and magical, again, the Force, rather than it being this scientific
Yes.
explanation. But, like you say, with doing that, like I say, it makes... I wouldn't believe that just one person in the entire universe could use the Force. If it is this thing, you would want a certain amount of people, and a certain amount of people would use it differently. I mean, that could be where it goes forward. It might not be Jedi, Sith, or dark side, light side. It could just be people doing it for their own bloody means.
This kid could turn out to be a dick.
Yeah, like you say, for all we know, that could be Kylo Ren's apprentice. So that I liked. One thing I do want to mention as well is like all the character arcs that are going on in this film. I think I mentioned it to you on the phone call as well. Some of them were like the side characters, like the background characters. I thought they've been treated really well in this film. Like Carrie Fisher's daughter's that like.
Yeah, I can't think what the character's name is.
No, I don't think. No, like I say, you don't know. And, but in The Force Awakens, it was like, oh, I knew that was Carrie Fisher's daughter, and she was just like the right hand, like dog's body. She was doing and you were just like, oh, that's cool.
Yes.
In this one, because obviously people have died and whatnot, all of a sudden she's kind of slightly promoted from dog's body to, like, say, right hand.
It's kind of
person
what
of
we talked
the
about
higher
in the
ups.
Justice League review when they killed off all of the Amazonians. That we should have been seeing them develop.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
The background
And
throughout
this
the
is
films.
what this film gives, because there's still the bearded guy. He survives, like the beard. He's got long straight. He looks like Grandad Hobo.
Yeah, although Admiral Akbar
Off-screen death.
Off-screen death, which was a big negative against this film.
Yeah.
He deserved better than that.
Plus, I think they just threw his name in there because people know who
fan service.
Akbar is. Yeah.
But instead, they just pissed people off. He's a beloved character, and he deserved more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, like you say, what happened... Instead of having Laura Dern's character in it, what about if it was Admiral Akbar all of a sudden?
The big sacrifice.
It makes a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's a trap, fuckers! And then just flies into the...
Yeah, that could have been his last line.
Hey, fuckers!
It's a trap.
Yeah, just on the comlink or something, just like, what are you doing turning around, resistance fighter? And he's just like, haven't you seen? It's a trap! Light speeds and...
I don't know if him would have reminded me too much of the fucking scene from Independence Day.
That's essentially what that scene... That's exactly what that scene was, essentially. Like, they do an about face and she flies it in.
Boys.
God, that scene. I think overall for me, really, I have far more positives to take away than negatives. I think some people are being a little bit too down on it because, again, these are the same, from what I've seen so far, the same people that complained that the last one was too much like A New Hope are now complaining that this isn't enough like Empire Strikes Back.
Which makes no sense.
Which automatically, for me, their argument falls flat. Some things, like you say, we pointed out, you can say are... could do improvement or would have been better with cutting.
I'm willing to accept that it might be a slow burner with me, and I haven't watched it again yet. I will at some point.
I'm on it Thursday.
Hopefully it will improve that second viewing.
Yeah, and I think, like I say, the problem with you is, like you say, you burnt out. We go into that Force Awakens. That's why I didn't really want to do the double showing because I can watch a Star Wars film from front to back and enjoy it. But the idea of 6-ish hours or the same thing
for such
a period, I
forces you to make
binge.
a direct comparison as well, because The Force Awakens is so immediate and so grabs you straight away.
Yeah.
Whereas I think even if I was more on the positive side of this, I don't think it's that same sort of film that just grabs you as action packed as intently as The Force Awakens.
Yeah, they could have done with from straight away from the crawl, the title crawl. They could have cut straight into the middle of a battle.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've been like, oh, fuck, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a better impact. That would have been, instead of going, here's the resistance, how's everyone doing, blah, for like 2 minutes or a minute or whatever. And then it's all of a sudden, boom, all the Empire found us, oh shit.
Yes.
Get into your fighters, and then they described how there's going to be a bombing run or something. Or I can't remember how it's so, but I thought if it just went straight into the middle of that,
some bomber things, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now, if it went into the start while that was going on, very much like is it episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, where there's like a space battle at the beginning. It's all CG and it's far too over the top, but you put straight into the middle of it. You don't know the setup to this battle. It's just kind of a thing.
Hope you see the Star Destroyer Hope chasing Princess Leia's ship.
It could have done with that.
And then you cut inside and you see them fighting on the ship, and then
it could have done with a bit more of a
immediate
boom. And I don't think it needed all the bomber run stuff to, because like I say, the main point of that was so Rose's character, who was her sister,
she sacrifices
herself, and
but
like you say,
she wouldn't have had to do that if Poe hadn't been so reckless.
And they never put on. I would have liked to have seen. Hopefully, that's something in the third.
Yeah, they don't really interact. Poe and Rose.
It'd be nice, like you say, if she starts to blame him, because like I say, ironically, it's kind of set up now that he'll take over the Resistance because Carrie Fisher is. She's dead, so she can't be in the next one. They've killed off the second in command that you thought was going to take over in the next one. Because you thought, they brought in Laura Dern, who's this general, and you thought, that's handy, considering Carrie Fisher snuffed it a couple of months after filming. So with Poe now being the only one left, Poe's taking charge. So it'd be nice to see, like, he questioned authority in this one. Maybe they'll do it like a role reversal kind of in the next one, where she questions him because her sister died because of his gung-ho rhetoric. Maybe, I don't know, that would be nice, but we can only hope.
We're gonna have to see.
JJ's never really let anyone down, so
no, I've still got high hopes. It's still a positive overall for me, this trilogy. I'm excited to see where it finishes up.
But I'd say more of a positive for me. Would you recommend people seeing it or not?
I think I would. I mean, it's an essential follow-on to The Force Awakens. It does mostly answer the questions from that. I mean, as we mentioned, the trailers, the teasers are a bit of a red herring, so... But I think it's still an essential part of this trilogy. I don't think it's... When you look back at it in the future, it's going to be a film you can skip and just think, I want to go from Force Awakens
to the last one, I think the thing with this as well, it almost had a feeling of it was the end of the like the way it was set up. It had that kind of air of, okay, let's see what happens next, but in a more kind of grand scale, kind of further down the line. Like if they had ended the trilogy with like the rebellion kind of on its ass and there's only 13 of them, but all the main ones are alive and all around on the same ship, ready to fight another day kind of thing. It had that kind of ending to it, especially with the whole, Luke Skywalker kind of lives on in the hope and sparkle and twinkle in the eye of every child and orphan in the galaxy, that picks up a broom, that kind of thing to it. But no, I like I say, I'd recommend it. I think if you're a Star Wars fan, it's going to be very hit and miss. And I think, like you say, if you're just a non-Star Wars fan and you're being dragged along to it by your geeky boyfriend or girlfriend, it'll be very hit and miss as well. If you've seen the Force Awakens, you'll be fine. I think you'll enjoy it. But like you say, Star Wars, it's a very hit and miss. It's
So that's that.
People are
Last
torn.
Jedi.
That's Last Jedi done. Our next podcast is...
It's going to be the 2017 year in review.
2017 year in review, which
best and worst,
which will be released next week from this, which we're now going to record seconds later after stopping this.
So
because Hollywood people,
it's going to be released at the end of the year, as you would expect from an end of the year.
We've seen all the films that we want to see this year.
There's nothing left to see now. It'll be a summing up. It'll be the best of, the worst of, and everything in between.
Done.
And then at some point in the not too distant future, we are going to force ourselves.
You're forcing me to. I am not behind this, but I will do it for the purpose of your own twisted amusement.
The 2016 Ghostbusters retrospective. We're going to put ourselves through it again.
It's going to make me watch it again.
I'll make myself watch it again.
Oh, I feel that one should be one of those live streams. Should we look into doing a live stream?
Yeah, maybe that'll be that. Facebook Live.
Because then you could actually see how much we hate that film on our faces.
We'll have a think about that, but at some point, in some capacity, will come the 2016 Ghostbusters review.
Good God.
But until then...
anything else you want to add?
I think we're good.
Awesome.
Just over the hour mark. It's a little more streamlined than last time.
Fingers crossed. Screw it then. Well, have a Merry Christmas, everyone,
Yes. Thanks for listening.
and may the Force be with you all.
Luke dies.
Two guys, one sofa.